everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, so I know that I said that I had promised that the next video was going to be something other than the spinning straight pour, and I am now going to break said promise. However, I am now doing this on a bigger canvas. This is a 20 by 20 canvas. This canvas is leveled to the table, not to the spinner. So I can't leave this on the spinner to dry. So I will take that off when I am finished creating, hopefully, a masterpiece. As you can see, we have a whole mess of colors going here. Going to be doing a rainbow pour. And the colors that I have are Liquitex Basics Dioxazine Purple. And that is mixed with a bit of titanium white, also Liquitex. And for the cell makers, we have the Decoart Americana Decor Metallics in Amethyst, Sapphire, Berry, Copper, 24 karat gold, and emerald. And no, I'm not putting these in the exact rainbow order because I want them to come out a certain way. I would like for the green and the yellow to end up in the center. And even though that will be the last part in my cup, and a lot of that will end up on the outside, typically the last paint that I put in my cup, enough of that ends up at the bottom of the cup where I get a little bit of that in the center. That's what we're working with color-wise. These paints have been mixed 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. That mixture is then thinned with my concoction of 90% water and 10% Floetrol until I get the consistency that I'm looking for, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. You can see this is making a mound, but it disappears quickly. It makes a nice thin stream off of my stick, a thin, even stream. When you are mixing your paints and you're testing for consistency, it is crucial that when you are drizzling off of your stick, it is a nice, even stream. That's how you know that it is properly mixed. If it is coming off thin and then thick and thin and then thick, that means that your paint has not been mixed properly, and that will cause you big problems in your pour. Certain spots will move faster than others, or it might just get wonky in general. So you want to make sure that that is properly mixed. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paints, brands, consistency, recipe, all of the stuff that I can't fit on a card. And then this is the picture of the painting in that video. This box here contains a tip for that particular technique, and here at the bottom is the color palette that was used in that painting. These 2 boxes can also be used as the basis of a 2-color palette. You can just use those 2 colors, or you can build off of those 2. There are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use some of the colors or just or all of the colors, either way. And you can mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you will have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is put some of this paint in my cup. I want to make sure that I have enough of the background paint for my other paints to react with. Very important. And then I will lay down this base coat. And try to save at least a little bit to go on top of the paints in my cup. So you will notice that I have covered my edges already. The reason that I do that is because the way that I mix a straight pour is pretty thin, and when mixed with Floetrol, it doesn't necessarily give you the greatest coverage on the sides, but it does make magic happen on the top of your canvas. So in order to make sure that I have good coverage on my sides, I just paint them first with whatever color is going to be my background color. My background color and my base coat are the same thing. Same color, mixed the same. The difference is the background color goes in the cup. The base coat goes on the canvas. Prior to pouring, the background color is basically the color that is not going to make cells. This is the paint that the cell makers will be reacting with. If I put nothing but cell makers in a cup, I would not get cells. It needs the paint to react with. And so these paints, the cell makers, are more matte in finish than the Liquitex paints. And so they are a great combination for straight pours and getting cells without silicone using the hydrophobic effect. This is not the Rayleigh Taylor instability. This is the hydrophobic effect, and I will be making a video comparing the two very soon. Very soon. Coming soon. Sorry that's taking so long. I know I've been teasing y'all with that one for a minute. But by Grabthar's hammer, I will be getting that to you. All right, my base coat is down, and now I'm going to put some paint in a cup. Okay, I know that's not as good of an angle as I usually have for you guys, but this is giant canvas. Always be sure to check the consistency of your paints before putting them in your cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. I'm doing the purple first. I really like the way that the metallic purple interacts with the basics. It just has a very, very cool effect. Pouring from up high. When you hear that plop, you know it's good. These paints churn in the cup and they blend and they create those awesome boulder cells. But also when those paints sink, it increases your chances of those paints having that reaction with your background color. But you'll see that's also why I add a bit to the top at the end, just to make sure that all of the paints have an opportunity to react with that background color. And that may seem like a scary action, pouring from that high. The more you do it, the more you'll get used to it. I used a 10 bar, so that's not a foreign action to me. We'll see if these last colors make it to the bottom of the cup. Should be pretty either way. These paints are already selling up in this cup, so I don't want to dilly-dally. And this is why I reserve some paint in my pouring cup. Just go over top so that all of these paints have a chance to have a little meeting with the background paints. Oh, that looks like an oil slick. Let's make a mess, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to try to find the center here, and I'm going to pour quickly and spin slowly. Now, I quite often lose whatever is happening on the edges, but it's the center that is absolutely crucial here. That is the focal point. And as I get closer to the end of the cup, I will get closer to the canvas. This will give me more control. Okay, I see some green coming. Hopefully there's some gold right behind it. Yep, there is some gold right behind it. Yes, that is what we want. It's definitely good to be as patient as possible here because the center is the focal point. That is where the eye will rest. This is where the coolest things are going to happen. And you want to make sure that you are as careful as possible here. Okay, I'm gonna need to dismount now. Down on the dismount, zippity-doo-dah. Let's pop the bubbles. This creates a lot of bubbles. So what happens is these bubbles, as they're coming up to the top, you know, so say we have a layer of our background color purple, and then there are bubbles underneath of it, and you pop those bubbles. It is bringing some of those other paints up with it, and that creates this hydrophobic effect, which gives you the groovy cells. And so I'm gonna let this sit for a minute and see who's at my door. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna need to refill this torch. I'm gonna pop what I can. Lots of cool stuff happening in the center here. Okay, there's lots of cool stuff happening here. The center is going to be very cool. You know, I'm probably not going to be able to fully cover these edges. That's okay. Part of the reason that I use a base coat that is the same color as my background color is so I have the option of not covering the whole canvas. It allows me to have some negative space without it looking weird. If I had used a white base coat, not only do I run the risk of having tiny white cells pop up into my colorful pour, but then it also limits what I can do as far as negative space, making it look like it's all blended together, all part of the same painting. This technique does create a lot of bubbles, but it's those bubbles coming up to the top that give us these cells because of the hydrophobic effect between the matte paints and the not matte paints. Doesn't have to be glossy, it just needs to be less matte than your matte paints. So you'll notice that I'm not really torching the center. I have all of the cell action that I want going on in the center. I don't need to torch that. I'm totally okay with what's happening there. I got some beautiful boulder cells. Just try to recenter that a little bit. When I walked away, it got a little uneven. As you can hear, the knock at the door was the guy who's here to mow my lawn. So, sorry about the lawn mowing noise. Okay. Interesting that this Sapphire didn't really sell, and I noticed it was a fresh jar, and there's usually like this liquid on the top that you have to mix in, and this particular jar did not have that, and I was actually curious if it would sell. So interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do, wipe that off. What I'm going to do is just kind of freshen up my edges here because it has been sitting for a minute. And we just want to make sure that that is a nice slick surface to slide around on, just in case it started to set up a little bit. It can happen. I like to eliminate any potential mishaps before they happen. So sometimes these extra steps really make a difference. All right, let me just pop these bubbles because that does create bubbles. So let me get those. All right, I think it's time. I think it's time to stretch this baby out. Let's give it a spin. And as I always say, you do not have to do this fast. This does not need to be flinging on your wall. It will stretch. I'm just going to recenter my center a little bit. So I seem to be getting a little bit of fighting here. This is not sliding as easily as I would like. Okay. All right, come on now, baby. You can do this. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, this is why I left my cup sitting sideways. I'm just going to add some of this here. Not expecting to fully cover it, but just give it a little interest there, and then I will spin it some more, and hopefully it will blend out nicely. Almost out of juice here. Just trying to get a little bit more. Okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave this alone. I really like what's going on here. I don't want to lose any more of that. These cells are looking super groovy. This piece is looking very cool. Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna let this sit. And I will bring you in for a close-up, and then I will show you what I have going on underneath of here as far as what the spinner is up to. Okay, I'm gonna let this sit, and I will bring you back in a few. Okay, here it is in all its cellular glory. Blinging like crazy, absolutely beautiful. Got me a nice little center there. The blending of these colors, gorgeous. It's like an oil slick. I love that look. No mud. You can put a whole rainbow in a cup in a straight pour. If you're doing it right, you will never get mud. You can see how that metallic purple and then the flat purple kind of played together. I just think it's so pretty when that happens. I mean, this thing is a beaut. Cannot be mad at what happened here. Yes, yes. And this up here, just that copper and the berry and the green blending together, but staying separate. Gorgeous. And then we have our glowing center. That is why I always put, you know, last in the cup, in the pouring cup, whatever is going to be the most contrast. It sinks to the bottom, and I get a nice bright focal point for my center. Place for the eye to be drawn to and rest. I mean, I think it looks pretty groovy. Let me show you how I have the spinner set up. Okay, so this is how I have the spinner. I just taped these metal dowels onto here. You know, it's not very secure, so you have to be careful, because I have a shower cap to keep the spinner clean, so it has a bit of give. But, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, so that's how that came to be. But there it is. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Let's take a look at that corner. You can see just adding those little bit of stripes there made a big difference. If you enjoyed, if you learned something, please do like, share, and subscribe. Do check out the description box below for links to my affiliates, Decoart. I'm a Decoart affiliate. If you want to try these paints, enter through the link in the description box below or use the coupon code in the link or in the description box below, and you can get 20% off your purchase, and I will make a small commission at no additional cost to you. And there are several affiliate links there, so if you do your online shopping, please do keep me in mind. Good way to give back without costing you anything. And also in the description box, you will find the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And of course, the cards are also on Amazon. And you will also find in the description box the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. And I think that's it. Is that it? I think so. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now, go make some art.